If you have the ability to conceive it, this time-space reality has the ability to deliver it. But you've got to match your own desire. You got to feel good about your desires. And if you don't feel good about your desires, then we would not think about them. Do not torture yourself. And that leads us to the most significant thing that we're wanting to give to you. You ask and it is always given. That's step 1 and 2. I'll just tell you that right off. You ask, can't stop it. Source answers, would never stop it. But step 3 is you've got to be a vibrational match to what you're asking for. When you are in alignment with your desire, it feels like elation. It feels like clarity. It feels like love. It feels like joy. It feels like freedom. It feels like fun. When you are in the state of allowing, it always feels fresh and good. When you are in the state of disallowing or resistance, it feels like fear, it feels like anger, it feels like frustration. It doesn't feel good. There are only 2 emotions. One feels good and one feels bad. But there is this infinite range between them. In other words, you call them all kinds of different things because of different exposure to different experiences. You find different ways of describing your emotions, and you have become better at pinpointing verbally words that mean how you feel. In other words, your ability to describe feelings is unsurpassed. Even your color palette is not as broad of spectrum. You are very good. It is uncanny how, as we visit with some dear friend in the hot seat, how you can find agreement or consensus as an audience on how this person feels. You easily find the word. And in most cases, you are very close in agreement. And while there are a lot of words that mean the same thing, and sometimes you mean different things when you use the same words, the words that you use to describe emotions are pretty accurate in most cases. But we are not so much wanting you to worry about finding the word that describes the way you feel, as we are wanting you to identify the feeling of how it feels and then consciously reach for a feeling of relief from that feeling. That's the key. Now think about what that means. Step 1 says, ask. Step 2 says, source will answer what you're asking. Step 3 says, you got to be a vibrational match to what you're asking for. And if you're not, then there is some resistance, which is always accompanied by some feeling. So if your dominant intention is to reach for relief of whatever you are feeling, can you see that you've got to be headed toward where you want to go? All of these things that you've been wanting, whether you've been openly speaking them or not, Source has been hearing. You have been amending your preferences steadily for years. And Source knows exactly who you are and what you want and understands your worthiness of it. So as you relax and start achieving a greater sense of your own value, avalanches of things you've been wanting are going to flow into your experience. It's like they're all lined up outside your door. And today we're going to open the door as widely as you are able to. We don't really encourage quantum leaps. We think it is wonderful that you live in an environment where there's a buffer of time, where things evolve slowly, because it gives you an opportunity to continue to amend your desire. We're eager to talk with you about anything that is important to you. There is nothing that is off limits.
Hi, Abraham. I have a question about time. I've heard things that there is no time in God, and that if we have a desire, that desire is like it's almost its own manifestation. And if we crave something, then that means it belongs to us. And I need clarity on that.
Well, you've asked several different things all at once here, but this time thing, it's hard to get your thoughts around it, because here you are in a time-space reality. That's like saying there's no space, and you say, and yet, here I am. I bang into things. It is something that I'm perceiving. I can't cease to perceive my space, and you can't cease to perceive your time either. But what they are talking about is that there is this broader dimension from which you have come, and where your inner being is, and where we are, that is timeless in the sense that whatever you give your attention to is. In other words, let's see if we can find a way of bringing this round to satisfy you. It's a big topic. So when you made the decision to come forth into this physical experience, many, as you know, had been here before. And we said earlier that those who have been here in generations that preceded you, as they were having exposure to each other, and living the contrast. Desires were being born within them that summoned to this time-space reality. So a sort of momentum has been taking place. You know from your thoughts of metaphysics and from your understanding of physics, and maybe even from what you've been hearing from us, that thought, no matter how small it is, continues to expand. And with enough expansion, it becomes physical. So the physical dimension is the leading edge of thought. In other words, sometimes people think that what is non-physical is all perfect and complete and finished, and that Earth is trying to catch up with it, when something very different from that is the case. Non-physical exists in all of its glory and fullness and expresses itself even more fully into this physical time-space reality. So this is the leading edge of thought. So when someone says that God is timeless, we say they're not giving credit to God as God is expressing in this time-space reality. Now, perhaps the reason that some speak in that way is because from the non-physical perspective, you have the ability, you can do it from this one too, but you don't do it so well because the physical characteristics are so dominant and pressing. But in the non-physical realm, you can focus into future, you can focus into present, you can focus into past, you can focus simultaneously into many different places. And so time becomes irrelevant because wherever you focus is where your experience is. It's like if you have the experience in your dream. Esther loves to relive her dreams to Jerry. Jerry doesn't like it nearly as much as Esther does because Esther has vivid dreams and a night full of them. Every morning she is ready to recount if he will listen. And it is interesting to Esther that her dreams jump spectrums. They jump places, they jump generations, they jump time. In other words, she has these dream manifestations all over the place. And the time sequence is irrelevant and the place sequence is irrelevant. It's not like traveling from place to place to place. It's like from here to here to here to here to here. And the same with time. So that's what it is like in the non-physical realm as well. And we think that someone has been trying to interpret that. But never let loose of your appreciation for this time-space reality, which helps you as a leading edge creator to focus your desires and preferences more specifically. Because as you identify from your powerful and important point of view something that you prefer, source energy loves nothing more than to get hold of that desire and begin actualizing around it, you see. Sometimes people regret the contrast of this time-space reality. They want things to be more the way they would like them to be, forgetting about how anybody else would care about it. They want them to be the way they want them to be. And we say, it is so wonderful that this contrast exists because the contrast inspires the new thought. And the new thought is what eternalness is all about, you see. It'll never cease to be. Don't worry about it. Nobody can mess it up. But as our friend said earlier, when you get in the flow of that, when you get in the flow of understanding that you are on the leading edge and that this time helps you focus, you see, nothing is more poignant than this feeling of time and space. It helps you to specifically quantify your own desires. And whether you're doing it consciously or not, you are doing it. And this now generation benefits from your efforts and future generations benefit from your efforts. We just would like all of you to be personally in on it too. Nothing is more satisfying. It might be satisfying to take a big wad of some beautiful substance and just whip it up and fling it somewhere and have it turn out really good. In other words, that might be sort of fun. Look what I've done. But it is ever so much more satisfying to be specific about what you gather and specific about your technique and specific about your application and to feel the progress that you make along the way. Another creation is about creation. It's not about falling into something. If that's what you'd wanted, you wouldn't have come forth. In other words, earth is planted, sky's there, the sun comes up, the moon's there, the water's there, stuff grows. We're done. And you say, hardly. There's so much more joy to be experienced in this. So much more satisfaction, so much more potential for desire that I can then bring myself into alignment with and feel the satisfaction even before it manifests. And as it manifests, oh wow, what do I get when it manifests? A whole new perspective from which to want again. You see, the eternal quest is more opportunity to be. And when we talk about being, we're not talking about being in suffering or being in poverty or being in the absence of desire. We're talking about being in the progress and process of fulfilling the desires as they are born within you. And that being in the flow that you were talking about, that's about identifying a desire and then moving to it and feeling the satisfaction of that. It's about the fun of it. Last night as Jerry and Esther came in, they'd had a full day, and Esther said, do you want to eat in the room or do you want to eat in the restaurant? And Jerry said, let's go to the restaurant. And they had the most engaging, intoxicating, satisfying conversation with the young girl who waited on them. And as they went back, Esther said, I am so glad we didn't eat in the room. It's so much better to be out there where you can run into something that's fresh and new and alive and stimulating and make you glad that you interacted, you see. Yes.
Thank you. Is that the reason why the desire is its own manifestation? Because once you desire, you have that feeling, and is that what brings it into the physical?
Well, the desire is a vibration. In other words, we're calling it desire because you can feel what desire feels like. But what desire is simply, and in terms of science, is simply a vibrational frequency that law of attraction is responding to. That's what a desire is. Mm-hmm. What you're talking about is the bringing myself into vibrational alignment with the desire. And of course, then you get all those feeling responses. In other words, I desire something I don't believe, I don't feel good. I desire something I do believe, it feels life-giving. And so you'll never cease to desire, and Source will never cease answering your desires. But you've got to find ways of giving yourself enough relief that you let it in. We see people, they want more money, and Source wants them to have more money, and has lined up, oh, you wouldn't believe, incredible circumstances and events, rendezvous for their receiving of this steady flow. And then the person stands in the midst of their desire saying, it hasn't come yet, it hasn't come yet, it's not coming yet, where is it? He's got it. How did he get it? What's he doing with it? He's using more of it up than his fair share. Wrong for him to have it. I should have it. Why don't I have it? My mother set me off on the wrong foot. It's the government's fault. The economy is not in a good place. People out there manipulating things, you know how they do. They're looking for every reason in the world to explain why they don't have it, when all they would ever need to do is give themselves enough benefit of the doubt that they feel a little relief. If they could just say, it's coming, that might be too big of a step for some. They could say, well, he didn't always have it. Oh, yes, he probably did. He inherited it, the bugger. But all you're trying to do is give yourself some relief. Maybe some will come to me someday. That might be enough of a statement to give you some relief. Or some of it is coming to me, and I'm happy about what's coming, and I'm making more today than I did at one time. And life isn't only about money. There are all kinds of abundances that are coming to me that are not necessarily money related. And I have all kinds of abundance in terms of clarity, or in terms of physical stamina, or in terms of energy. Abundance is mine in really many, many ways, and abundance is coming to, we're not picking on the subject of abundance other than the fact that it's in the air usually everywhere we go. But we're wanting you to realize that everything that you are reaching for in this time-space reality hinges around your ability to allow what you've already earned, what you've already asked for, what's already lined up to come. And that's the thing that we think most of you don't quite get. You think that it is still to be created, and when it is created, it will be yours. And we say, it is created, you just got to sync up with it. It's like right now, moving through these airwaves are radio signals, and if you had a tuner, you could tune in to any number of different things. And right now, in your time-space reality, are all kinds of manifestations, potential, that are moving through that you've just got to tune into. And people who are thriving have just found a way to tune in. And the way that you tune into it is by tuning down your own negativity, by tuning down your beating up on yourself, by tuning down your feelings of not enoughness, by reaching for a feeling of relief. Enough?
Yes. Thank you so much.